All right, guys, fair warning. If you have not finished reading The Outcast of Poker Flat, do not watch this video. Okay, this is for students who have finished, reading The Outcast of Poker Flat, and you know the ending, you know the full story. So, spoiler alert, I'm going to go over some stuff at the end of the story, and then talk about your constructed response and kind of what I want you guys to do. So, first of all, at the end it says basically they were looking for John Oakhurst, right? They were trying to figure out what had happened to him. So it says, but at the head of the gulch, on one of the largest pine trees, they found the deuce of clubs pinned to the bark with a bow tie knife. Um, and it bore the following written in pencil in a firm hand. Beneath this tree lies the body of John Oakhurst, who struck a streak of bad luck on the 23rd of November, 1850, and handed in his checks on the 7th December, 1850. And pulseless and cold, with a derringer by his side and a bullet in his heart, though still calm as in life, beneath the snow lay he who was at once the strongest and yet the weakest of the outcasts of Poker Flat. Okay, so what I want you guys to hopefully realize about this is the fact that John Oakhurst decided to take his own life. That's why he was the strongest and yet the weakest, right? Like he basically knew that there wasn't enough provisions left, that he wasn't going to make it anyway. It's significant that this is the he uses a playing card as kind of like a tombstone, right, where he writes his final words. The fact that it is, a deuce of clubs, again, one of the lowest cards, right? A two in clubs is one of the lowest cards. It's not like an ace or a king or a queen, so that's significant as well. So I want to talk to you guys about the constructed response example that I provided for you. Which is, how does the playing card used as John Oakhurst's tombstone develop the motifs of luck, chance, and fate? John Oakhurst uses a playing card as a makeshift tombstone, which develops the motifs of luck, chance, and fate. And here's where really the answer comes in. Oakhurst views life similar to a game of cards, as he thinks everything is a gamble, right? And then I give a few, so there's a couple of examples, of course, because in a constructed response, you clearly answer the question and then you give three examples and explain what they show. For example, when Oakhurst is exiled, the author states, Oakhurst was too much of a gambler not to accept fate, and that's on page 1. So this example demonstrates Oakhurst believes his fate is left up to chance, so he decides to accept his fate and leave town calmly. Now, this response really ties back to chance and fate, right? It talks about how he believes his fate is left up to chance, so he accepts his fate, okay? So that's how I sort of clearly tie that back to my answer. A second example is when Oakhurst tells his companions, we've had a streak of bad luck since we left Poker Flat. That was on page 6. This quote shows Oakhurst views life as a gamble, and he believes a person's luck is always changing. Oakhurst hopes his luck won't run out. So again, this example is tied clearly back to luck, right? Which is what that question is asking you about. And then, guys, what I want you guys to do for your third example, or at least one of your examples, I want you to sum it up in your own words, like paraphrase the example, and then explain what it shows about your argument. So for that one, what I decided to do is have the last example talk about his death, because of course that's what this question is all about. So, however, it is fitting that his tombstone is a playing card because it symbolizes his ideas about knowing when one's luck is about to run out. That's from page 8. His death is on page 8. This shows his suicide is a victorious act as he ultimately wins the game of life by taking his own life instead of succumbing to death like his companions in the mountains. In conclusion, John Oakhurst uses playing cards to develop the story's motifs of luck, chance, and fate. So again, what I like that this constructed response does is I feel like it clearly answers the question by really talking about how he views his life, similar to a game of cards. He thinks everything is a gamble, and so it's very fitting that his tombstone is a card, a playing card, right? I also like the fact that this response, it uses two quotes, right? So you've got a quote here as well as another quote here. It provides the page number from where that's from. I think that's better than the paragraph number because it's too long to do paragraph numbers. And then it does provide a third example, but the third example is summed up in this student's own words, right? So it's not, it still provides the page number from where they got that information from, but it's not just like a quote, like a third quote. Because I feel like with three quotes, it just gets too like formulaic. So I feel like that's a little bit stronger. And then each one, right, ties it back to these three things, which is luck, chance, and fate. So each one of the responses really talks about luck, chance, and fate, and goes over a clear sort of what it shows about each one of those motifs. So I want to talk to you guys about your constructed response that you're going to have to do, which is how does Mother Shipton's role as a martyr develop the story's existing motif of guilt, purity, and innocence? So what I want you guys to really think about is, Mother Shipton she begins the story as like a very cruel character, right? I mean, she starts off by, like she's a sinful character. She's exiled from this community because essentially she's so sinful and lives such a sinful life. She talks about on page 2 about wanting to cut somebody's heart out on the road because she's so upset about like, her life and how things are going and whatever. But by the end of the story, I mean, she ends up giving her life up for Piney essentially, which is what a martyr does. A martyr is someone who is killed or gives their life for the greater good. You guys probably saw, I think it's on page 6 or 7, but she hands over provisions for like from like the last week, and she talks about. Let me see if I can find that in a text really quick. Hold on. Um, she talks about how essentially she doesn't want to. She hasn't eaten. Um, yeah, so it's in this paragraph right here where she says. She privately oh no, never mind. That's not it. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, here it is. It's in this on this page. So basically they're running out of food. So only Mother Shipton, once the strongest of the party, seemed to sicken and fade. At midnight on the 10th day, she called Oakers to her side. I'm going, she said, in a voice of querulous weakness. But don't say anything about it. Don't waken the kids. Take the bundle from under my head and open it. Mr. Oakers did so. It contained Mother Shipton's rations for the last week untouched. Give them to the child, she said, pointing to the sleeping Piney. You've starved yourself, said the gambler. That's what they call it, said the woman querulously as she lay down again and turning her face to the wall, passed quietly away. So basically, in that moment, it shows that Mother Shipton didn't eat for like a week because she was wanting to save her rations for others, right? Specifically for Piney, who she felt was, innocent. And so she basically starved herself to death so that Piney could live. So she's changed a lot as a character, right? Like she started out as a very selfish character, and she sort of ends with being a martyr, being sort of the hero of the story, if there ever was one. So you need to really clearly explain how she changes. So what was she like in the beginning, and what was she like in the end? That's what you're going to be kind of doing for your answer. And then you also need to really explain. You need to find 3 examples, right, from the text. So think about Mother Shipton and how she progressed as a character. Think about, provide an example maybe from the beginning where it shows her guilt, right? Like, what did she do to be exiled, or what kind of sinful attitude did she have? Find an example that shows her guilt. And then really talk about her purity and innocence towards the end with, the fact that she decides to sacrifice herself, right, in the end. You also could talk about, the town. Maybe the town is a little bit guilty of exiling somebody who wasn't really a bad person in the end. So you could also talk about that as well if you wanted to. But you'll need to find 3 examples from the text. 2 of them need to be quotes. One of them can be in your own words, or should be in your own words. But you're going to clearly sort of tie back your answers to guilt, purity, and innocence. So what does each show about guilt, purity, or innocence? And kind of explain what that shows about Mother Shipton and how she's evolved and changed as a character, okay? So hopefully that helps you guys a little bit. If you have any questions about your assignments, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a meeting where I will be available from 1:40 today to 2 o'clock. So if you have any questions about this assignment, you can kind of think of this as office hours. I've got a 20-minute office hour that I can talk to you guys if you have any questions about the constructed response. about, the main plot, like what happens the last 4 pages. We can talk through that. Any questions that you have, I'll be available again from today from 1:40 to 2 o'clock to answer questions. And if nobody shows up, then it'll be a really short meeting. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to help you with that. Okay. Um, all right. So make sure that you upload your annotations today. Also make sure you upload your constructor response. And again, sign in onto that meeting at 1:40 p.m. if you do have any questions that you need me to answer in real time. Okay. Take care, guys. Good luck on your assignments.